All right. Anybody have anything to share today on We Share Wednesday? No. That was a resounding no. Good morning, V. We were just talking about nobody's sharing anything, but that's okay. I was just looking at the calendar and I noticed after today, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days left. That's it. Yeah, can you make it 8 more days of class? Right? I think we can. I think we can. So I know a lot of you have a lot going on. Like you're finished at MCC after this. So it's just 8 more class days. That's it. And then your final. So, which is just presentations. So you can do it. Hang in there. Work real hard these last 2 weeks. It will pay off, right? I promise it will. But I know that you're tired. I know that you have a million things going on in your other classes or in your life. So we just got to hang in there, right? We can do it. We just have a little bit longer. We were just talking 8 days. That's it. 8 days of class. Yay, we can do it. All right, so speaking of that, how'd the homework go? Okay, not bad.
I had just problems with, I was able to do all like the first part of the question, and the other parts I was not able to. So I struggled for the parts, BC
Yeah,
parts, you can say.
I got stuck figuring out which formulas were which at some points.
yeah, that's the hardest part, right? Is figuring out which formulas we need to use. All right, well, hang in there. We can get it done. We'll figure it out. Anyone else? I don't know why it keeps trying to update and saying it's failing to update on my iPad. Am I sharing my screen and you can see all those prompts come up? It's very helpful. It's not helpful right now, but I don't have time to deal with it right now because we have class. Okay, so hang in there. Is anybody doing something great coming up, you know, as soon as they finish this class?
I'm moving back to California.
Nice. What part of California, V?
I'm from northern Oakhurst.
Nice.
Close to Yosemite National Park.
Lovely. That sounds like a great place.
Yeah, I miss my family. I thought I was going to be able to, be out here by myself, but it isn't the same.
Yeah, it is hard to be away from family. I agree. Only taking one class to have a break. Yeah, I think we all need a break. Anyone doing summer school?
I am.
Lee's doing summer school. Matt's doing summer school. All right, make sure you get signed up for those. And make sure you just commit to that summer school class because I know they can be a lot, right? So, and just get it done, grind it out, right? And gut through it. It'll be worth it if you need to do summer school. If you don't need to do summer school, that's fine. Take your well-deserved break and then go ahead and be ready for the fall. Nice. You'll be moved into your new house by the 22nd of May. Zevi, that sounds so exciting. Yay. My son graduates on May 14th, and then my daughter graduates on May 27th. So one from college, one from high school. Yay. So we're excited about that. New house moves are fun. Moving to California or back to California sounds good. All right, so I know we got a lot going on, but buckle down. Let's get these last 2 weeks. Let's get them figured out, right? Do what you need to do. If you need to get some extra tutoring, if you need to come to office hours, get all that figured out. Oh, speaking of which, office hours tonight, 7:30 to 8:30, because it's Wednesday, right? Don't forget. Okay, let's do a little bit of warm up. Let's just do number 1 and we'll put our answer in the chat. Don't hit enter yet. We're just practicing rounding and we're going to round to the nearest cent. Okay, so practice rounding to the nearest cent. We just want to put number. Okay, everybody got it ready? Not yet. I'll give you about 15 more seconds. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. I knew somebody was going to put in all the answers. We only wanted number 1, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine, B. Okay, nobody read it, right? Because it scrolled past really fast. Don't scroll back up. Okay, so $245,987.39. Excellent. So remember, we had to round to 39 because there was a 7 there. So we had to change the 8 to a 9. Yeah? Excellent. All right, how about number 2? Get number 2 ready in the chat. Okay. In 3, 2, 1, go. There you go. See, you were all ready for that one too. And that time, that one stayed a 3 at the end because the number after it was only a 4. So since that was less than 5, we left this one alone and left it 23 cents. The last question can get a little confusing for people. It says round to the nearest cent. Try that last one, get it ready in the chat. Okay, ready in 3, 2, 1, go. So this one can be a little bit harder because when we look at this one, we're looking at this 8 and we go, oh, that 8 is higher than 5. So I need to change that. I need to increase the next place value by 1, but it's already a 9. So I have to make it a 0 because that's the only thing I can do. But that means it changes the next place value, right? To a 0, which means to make it one larger, we have to go all the way over here to the ones place or the dollars, and we have to change this to $8,328 because we needed to increase it. So it looks like I'm rounding to the nearest dollar, even though I'm rounding to the nearest cent, because those two values in this case would be the same. Is that a little bit tricky? Yeah, so be careful on that. So I just figured practicing rounding is a good thing because we're doing it this whole unit. There's all our answers. Here's our goals for today. We're going to practice doing some payout annuities. Okay, some payout annuities. Any questions on the rounding before we move away from it? No, everybody's good? All right, so we're still going to use the TVM solver. We have some new formulas because now we're in payout annuities. Don't these formulas look lovely? Yeah, I know. You want to start using them right now. They look so lovely. Now, if you're using the TVM solver, these formulas won't matter to you because you can do everything on the TVM solver. Okay, so you don't even have to look at these formulas. It's okay. Now, if you're using the formulas, you need to keep track of them and make sure you know when to use each formula, which might be some of the hard part. I can put these formulas in the chat if you want, but they are on our formula sheet. If you take a look at our formula sheet, that's not it. Oh, there it is. Here's our formula sheet. So if we go all the way back to the beginning, let's go all the way back here and look. This is where we started with simple interest. That was PF4. Then we did compound interest. That was PF5 and APY. You see the APY is kind of hidden right there. Don't lose it because that is a formula you might need for the quiz. Then all of these are regular annuities. Okay, that's what you just finished your homework on. These two formulas are what we're talking about today, payout annuities. Okay, and then the last thing we have left is loans. That's all we have left is loans, which is nice because then we're going to finish up your vehicle project, right? You'll have parts 4 through 7 of your vehicle project. So this is what you have left. PF9, a quiz, your vehicle project, and your final project. Okay, that's what you have left. Okay, so back to where we are. Let's talk about what payout annuities are, okay? So annuities are when we're saving money for something, right? So we put aside a certain amount of money on a regular basis to have money in the future. Now, the payout annuities is a little bit different. So the payout annuities is when you start with money in your account and then you are taking money out of your own account on a regular basis until your account eventually has nothing in it. So remember yesterday we were talking about how do I get like $500,000 in my bank account to retire on, right? And that's what we were calculating. How much do I need to put in my account each month, each year, whatever? So I have $500,000 at retirement. Today's topic is we're starting at retirement. So you have $500,000 in your retirement account, and you're going to take out each money out of your retirement account each month or each year for as long as you need it, maybe 20 years, maybe 25 years. Maybe if you retire real young, maybe 30 years, right? So do you see how now we're going the other way? That's why it's called a payout annuity. Does that make sense? Okay, so I am going to share today's doc with you. Maybe. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. I hope that is it. It should say PF8 examples. So when it says examples and you try at the top, let me look. Yeah. PF8 payout annuities examples and you try. Okay, so everybody good? Excellent. So now let's look at what we want to do. So this is after retiring, you want to be able to take out or withdraw $1,500 each month from your retirement account. And you want to do that for 25 years. Okay? Your account earns 6% interest compounded monthly. The question is, how much do you need to have in your account the day you retire? Right? That's the question. How much do you need in your account the day you retire? So we can use the TVM solver or we can use the formula. So if we're looking at these numbers, remember, now we're at retirement and we want to take out $1,500. In other words, we're paying ourselves $1,500 each month for 25 years. So we need to know how much we want in our retirement account when we start. So if you're looking at these formulas, which formula would you pick? Would you pick the one that says payment equals, or would you pick the one that says P equals? Tashina's saying P or PV. So Tashina's saying this is the one we would need right here. Any of you agree? Yeah, we don't need to solve for payment. We already know what our payment is, right? Our payment is $1,500. We're paying ourselves. So that's the formula we want. If we're using the TVM solver, then we will be solving for PV. That's the hard part of this problem. It's figuring out which formula you need to use or what you need to solve for on the TVM. So P equals payment times, and then you have this lovely formula here. And parts of it will look very familiar to you. I'm just going to write it as one big fraction because it's going to be easier for me. Okay, so that's our formula. Let's break down our formula. So what would I put in for payment in this formula? What would I put in for payment? Very nice. V says $1,500. Excellent. The other thing I need to know is what is R in this case? Very nice. I know V's on top of it. Everybody else can answer too, just so you know. Okay, 0.06. What's N in this case? N is 12. How do you know N is 12, Lee?
Because it's compounded monthly.
Very nice, because it says monthly, and monthly is 12 times a year. Excellent. And then we have T is the only other thing in this formula on the left side. So what's T in this case? Thanks, Ruki. 25. Now, if you're out there and you're like, I'm taking great notes and I'm paying attention, that's fine. Just FYI, you're not learning. Okay, if you're just copying down what I'm doing and sitting there soaking it in, you're doing great copying, but that's not learning. Math is an active subject. All subjects are, by the way. So you have to have these answers. Now, if you're answering in your mind and you're just nervous to say it, or you're just nervous to put it in the chat, that's totally fine, right? So then you are learning if you're answering it or if you're writing it down on your paper before we say it. But make sure you put yourself out there and you try. If you're wrong, that's fine, right? It's okay to be wrong. But if you're just sitting there and you're like, I've done everything I can to pass this class. If you're sitting there and just writing down what I'm writing, you're not doing everything you can to pass this class, just so you know. You have to check in because it is hard. When you're in here, you're probably doing fine. And then you go try to do your homework on your own and you're like, what? Did we do this in class? Right? Like, I don't remember this. And it's because it hasn't connected all the way for you. Okay, because you're not making enough of those connections. So let's work on those connections throughout class. Ask me any of those questions you have. You can ask them in the chat. You can ask them out loud. I don't mind. Okay. Okay. So if you're using the formula, you have everything you need right now. You can just plug away. It's hard to get it in the Desmos calculator, right? Or in your calculator, but that's okay. Once you have it in there once, it becomes easier. If we're doing the TBM solver, we have N, we have I, we have PV, we have PMT, we have FV, and then we have PY and CY. And I'm just going to write them once because they're both the same, right? Okay, so who can tell me any of these that I can write down? Any of these? I'm not going to complain.
N is 300.
N is 300. How'd you get it, Josh?
I multiplied 12 by 25.
Very nice. 12 times 25, which I apparently couldn't do yesterday, but today I can. So we're good. All right. How about I on this side? Very nice. Judith and Zevi said I is 6. Very nice. So how about any of the other ones?
Payment is 1,500.
Payment is 1,500. Excellent. So I'm going to put in negative 1,500 here. Yep, and payment is negative. Excellent. Good job. Ruki put in there that PY and CY are 12. How do we know PY and CY are 12?
Because it's being compounded monthly.
Very nice. Good job. I love all the stuff going on in the chat now. Good job. Good job. Okay, now, so I'm either going to solve for PV or FV. Which one am I solving for? This is a hard one. Is it
In the
PV
chat.
or is it FV? Yeah. Yeah, but I have differing answers. Some of us think it's PV, some of us think it's FV. Let's go back to the question. It says, how much do you need in the account when you retire? So when you start retiring, that's what we're trying to figure out. So we actually are finding PV because at the end of our retirement, like when we die, just so you know, right? We don't want to have any money in our account. We want to use up all the money we saved for our retirement. So you are absolutely correct normally, like yesterday. But now we have flipped things because now we're saying, how much do I need in my account to when I retire so then I can live for those 25 years pulling out $1,500 a month for all of that time? Do you see how it switches? Yeah, it's tricky. You're right there. It's tricky. Everything you said is true for a regular annuity, but when we switch to payout annuities, we change things up. It's tricky. Okay, so now you have all your information. Get an answer, round to the nearest cent like we always do, and get it in the chat, but don't hit enter yet. Okay. So plug it into either Desmos or TBM, I don't care, or both. Okay, does everybody have it ready? I give you an extra few seconds to get it in the chat. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, $232,810.30 if you round it. So check your TVM solver. Make sure that you put in 300 for N, 6 for I, and then you're solving for PV. You put in negative 1500 for PMT, you put in 0 for FB, and you put in 12 for CY and PY.
I used Desmos because my formula, after I plugged in all the numbers, it gave me 0. So that wasn't right.
On TVM or on your?
And my Casio.
Oh, but Desmos worked, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's tricky. I did it I was doing it on Desmos and I left off the payment right here. I left off that part. So I got my answer and I was like, that's a weird number. And then I looked back and I just had to add that in there. But Desmos is a little more forgiving to change it, you know? Yeah. Okay, good. Good. Yay. Everybody's finding where their mistakes are or using a different strategy. So we're doing good. So if you notice, I gave you the TVM and then I gave you the formula. Now I didn't plug into the formula because I don't know why I didn't, but at least you can see where you made your mistakes. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, how much money will you need to have at retirement so you can withdraw $60,000 a year for 20 years if the account is earning 8% compounded annually? Now, is this the same type of question as before, or have we changed? What do you think? Do you think it's the same type as before, or is it something new? Do we have to pick new formulas? It is the same. If you thought it was the same, it is the same because it's still asking us how much money do we need at retirement so we can withdraw $60,000 a year for 20 years. Now, our numbers change, right? But everything else is the same. So try this one because now you should know your formula or your TVM. You just have to be vigilant and make sure you change all the numbers you need to. Okay? Okay, try that one. When you have an answer, just privately chat me. Okay, so you can see if you were right. Okay, a lot of you are sending me your answers in the chat, which is awesome, and I'm responding to you. If you have a question, send it to me in the chat. If I send you a response back that says you're right, that's excellent. Just read the next question and see what you think. Okay, we'll talk about it in just a minute. All right, you guys are rock stars. You're really cruising through that. That's awesome. So if we look at this, you're still solving for the same thing this time. Now, I want us to make sense of this so you understand what we're really finding. Instead of just getting the correct answer, I want you to think about what it means. So it basically means you need to save $589,088.84 to retire if you want to be able to take out $60,000 a year for 20 years. Does that make sense? So that's what you have to do. Now, we can make the question harder now. We can say, okay, well, if I need this much money at retirement and I'm going to retire in 20 years, how do I save that much money? Do you see how that would go back to PF7 where it's just a regular annuity? All right. So let's look. Here's a new problem. Some of you have already started it. Some of you have sent me the answers. I know you have the whole worksheet in front of you, so you can just keep working away if you want. That's fine. So you want to be able to withdraw $30,000 each year for 25 years, and you earn 8% interest compounded annually, right? How much do you need in your account at the beginning? That's just what we've been doing. Am I right? That's what we've been doing all along. So that part is not new. And I see some correct answers coming through. That's awesome. Now, figure that out, send that to me. But then if you're looking at part B and C, I want you to think about the answers to part B and C because it's a little bit tricky. Okay, you just need to check in. Okay, is anyone ready for the answer to part A so that we can talk through part B? Okay, so let's look. This is how you got the answer to part A, $320,243.29. Yay, a lot of you got it right. Now, let's talk part B, because some of you looked at part B and you were like, what? Like, I don't really understand what it's asking, or the number that I got doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Okay, so first of all, any questions on part A? Take a look at part A. Anybody have any questions? All right, so let's read. Part B said, the question said, how much total money will you take out of the account? Well, how much are you taking out at one time?
30,000.
You're taking $30,000 out. And how often are you doing that?
25 years.
Yeah, every year for 25 years, right? So if I multiply 30,000 times 25, that must be how much money I took out of the account, right? And Zebbie put it in the chat right there. Sorry, my chair, I just started like I was going to fall on my face. So that would have been hilarious. Not really. Okay. So $750,000 is what Zebbie put in the chat. That is 30,000 times 25. Now, is anyone confused by that number? Is anybody like, how are you going to take $750,000 out of the account that you only have $320,243.29 in? Right? That doesn't make any sense. Well, remember, your account's still earning interest. Yeah, so nice. So you got a lot of interest. Now we'll talk about that in just a second. So that's our answer to part B. How much interest did we get? So it says how much of that money is interest. How would we find that?
Subtracting the 750,000 from the 320.
We would subtract the 320,000 from the 750,000, right? Tashina, go ahead.
So I didn't do C because I was trying to figure it out because I was thinking, was it also asking for the interest prior to, like as in what you were earning initially during the times that you were putting in payments?
No, because we didn't do any of that part.
Okay.
Right? Somehow magically we just had $320,000 in our account, right?
Okay.
some magic count. The next part that we're gonna do is gonna show you that part. So where do we get the 750,000 from? Is it says we're gonna take out $30,000 each year for 25 years. So that's how much money we got. We got $30,000 each year for 25 years. So if I multiply 30,000 times 25, that's how I get that $750,000. And then Lily's right. Lily has she sent me the answer of how much interest you got. You got 429,000 $756.71. And I'll show you that on this page. So that's a lot of interest. Now let's talk realistically. Do you really think you're going to get 8% interest? No, you're not. But it was kind of fun in our dream world that we got 8% interest. You'll get some interest, right? It'll just be a lower percentage. So does everybody see how we had to kind of think to get the answers to part B and C? Whereas we weren't using the TBM solver or a formula, we were just thinking it through. Yeah. All right.
I have a
Any
quick
questions? Yeah, Annie?
So let's suppose that it was done quarterly and not annually. Would it change or would it be the same for
So if it was quarterly, if I was pulling it out,
because on the
sorry,
homework
go ahead.
it was something like that, and then I kept getting them wrong, and it was like really confusing.
Yes, it'll be different if it says quarterly or annually or monthly, because right here, if it said quarterly, instead of just multiplying it by 25, we would multiply it by 4 also, because we take it out 4 times a year. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so you multiply the amount you're taking out by how many times per year you take that out, and then times how many years you take that out. So yeah, and I was just chatting with someone else about sometimes we put our N in wrong in the TVM solver, right? So like you just put it in wrong because you forgot to do something. So when you show me all your work on your quiz, like on your paper that you upload after the quiz, and you have your key right there, if I see that it's just your N that was wrong, everything else was right, but your N was wrong, then I'll give you most of the points on that problem, right? I won't take off everything because that's a little tiny mistake. Like you picked the right formula, you solved for the right thing, you just forgot to multiply by something. Great question, Annie. All right. Read this question and tell me how it's different. Read this next question and tell me how it's different. You can just type it in the chat if you want. You don't even have to wait till 3, 2. Any ideas on how this one is different?
You're trying to figure out how much money you're going to get for each payment.
Nice. And we need to think about what we're solving for. So we already saved our money. So that's how much we already have in retirement. So that's our PV. Before we were solving for PV, so we don't have to, right? We just have that $400,000 and we know our interest rate. But now here's the question. It says, how much money will we pull out each month? How much money? So that's what Josh just said. Josh just said, now we're solving for payment. So if we look at our formula sheet, we're going to use a new formula, right? We know it's annuities because we're taking money out of it. Okay. If we're using TVM, we're going to solve for payment. Okay, so if we're using TVM, we're going to solve for payment. If we're using formulas, we're going to use a new formula. And the formula we're going to use is payment equals P times R divided by N over 1 minus 1 plus R divided by N. Look very carefully at that formula because the exponent has a negative in it. So you need to make sure you do that part correctly if you're using the formula, okay? If you're using the TVM solver, remember you're solving for payment now. So this is what we're solving for. And I love highlighters, so I love to highlight what I'm solving for. see if you can fill in all those blanks. If you want to type your answer to me in the chat, that's fine. If you have a question for some blank, you can totally ask that. All right, so let's see if you can figure out these things. Is anyone still using formulas? Good, there's a couple of you using formulas, so I don't want to leave you out. Don't think I'm always using TVM. So on this left-hand side on the formula, what do you put in for P? Danessa or Lee, what'd you put in for P in your formula?
For P, I put in 400,000.
Perfect, 400,000. And for our TVM, that would be our present value. Okay, good job. And then for R, if you're using the formula, you're going to use 0.07. If you're using the TVM, you're going to use 7. Then for N, since it's monthly, you're going to say 12. On the TVM, that's where PY and CY are. They're 12. And then for capital N, you're going to put in 300 because that's 12 times 25. For T on the formula, that will be 25. Then what do I put for SV over here in our TVM? What do I put for SV? 0. Thanks, Ruki. So when you solve this one, you should get $2,827.12. Nice. Now, let's think about what that means. That means after you retire, if you have $400,000 in your account and you have an account that makes 7% interest compounded monthly, you will be able to take out $2,827.12 each month for 25 years, and then your account will go down to 0. Does that make sense? Okay, excellent. Do you see how these problems are related to what we did yesterday, but they're a little bit different? All right. Any questions about this one? Okay. Now, let's talk about this problem. Read through this and see if it's making sense to you. So you want to be able to take out $25,000 each year for 20 years after you retire. Sounds okay? You're going to retire in 30 years. Your account earns 10% interest compounded annually. The question says, how much will you need to deposit each year until retirement to get to your retirement goals? Do you see how this is a two-parter? Yeah, there's more things going on here. Because do we know how much money we need at retirement from reading this problem? We don't. So that's part one. Part one is how much do we need at retirement? Do you see how that's like the problems we were doing? So we're solving for P or PV. That's part one. Once we have that value, we're going to go to part two, which really answers the question. How do I get that money? Right? That's the question. How do I get that much money in my retirement account? So what we'll be solving for on part two? What would I be solving for on part two? It says, how much will you need to deposit each year? Sorry, go ahead.
Payment?
Yes, we will be solving for payment over here. Excellent, good job. We'll be solving for payment over here. So let's work on part one first. That one should be okay, right? You're trying to find out how much you need in an account if you want to withdraw $25,000 a year for 20 years. So you can use your your P formula, where it's P equals payment times 1 plus R over N to the N times T power minus 1 divided by R over N divided by, you can make it a giant fraction if you want, 1 plus R over N to the N times T power. You could use that formula, or you could use the TVM. So first get that answer. When you get that answer, send it to me in the chat. Just the answer to part one. Send it to me in the chat when you get the answer to part one, because then we need to figure out how we do part two. Okay, so I have a few right answers. Very nice, V. Very nice. Rookie, I had 9 cents instead of 10 cents. And a couple other people had that same thing. When you do it, it ends up on my calculator 0.093. And since that's a 3, I just left it as 0.09. Yes, Debbie. So some of you are just making rounding errors, which if you make a rounding error on the quiz, Canvas counts it all wrong, right? That's why I have you write it down on your paper so that I can give you partial credit. And a lot of you liked that. Remember when I went through your paper, your grade went up because you had all your work written down? Yeah. This is the formula. This is for TVM. So if you're using TVM, we're solving for P or PV. Okay. All right. So if you were doing this, N, it said 20 years, and we're only doing it once a year. So 20. I was 10. PV is what we're solving for. So that's what we were solving for. PMT is negative 25,000. That's how much I'm pulling out. FV is going to be 0 because remember, I want to use all my money. And PY and CY are each going to be equal to 1. So you should have gotten an answer of $212,839.09. Is that what you got? If you didn't, double check your formula or your rounding or what you were solving for on TVM.
Can I show you my calculator?
Yeah, are you using TVM?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you put in 30. It says we're doing it for 20 years.
Ah, see, I need to learn how to slow down and read. Thank you.
Yeah, and now, Tashina, it's important that you see that because the first part we're doing for 20 years, right? That's after retirement. Now, when we use that in part 2, it's going to change to 30 years. Okay. So yeah, so now, is everybody okay with part 1? You figured out how to get here to $212,839.09? All right, so now we're going to take this value and we need to use it in a formula or in the TVM solver for how do I get that much money in my account? How do I end up with $212,839.09 in my account? So then I can pull out $25,000 each year to retire. Is part 2 still an payout annuity problem? Or do I have to use a different formula, you formula people over there? Do you see how now it's just an annuity? It's a regular or an ordinary annuity. It's not a payout annuity because we're going to put money in instead of take money out. If you're using the TVM solver, it's just changing where your numbers go. If you're using formulas, you have to move to a different formula. You're going to have to move to a payment formula for regular annuities. Okay, you're going to have to move to the payment formula for regular annuities, which, if you remember, looks like this formula right here. Okay, so that's the formula you need to use if you're using formulas. If you're using TVM, you just switch to what you're solving for. I think that's not the right day. There we go. All right. So on TVM, our N this time, Thanks to Sheena pointing it out. It's going to be 30 because we have 30 years to save that money. Our interest rate is still 10%. What do I put in for PV? What do I put in for PV? 0. I don't have anything in my bank account yet. What do I put in for PMT? 0, because that's what I'm looking for. This is the one I'm solving for, PMT. Okay. What do I put in for FV? Ah, look at that. $212,839.09, because that's what I want to have at retirement. And then for PY and CY, I'm still going to put 1 because it's still annually. So now I'm going to solve for my payment right there. And you should get $1,293.90. Great job. I see lots of right answers that were sent to me. Yeah, so, but do you see how that's kind of a long problem, right? And we had to think a lot. So that's how these problems can be challenging. But hold on, here's my question. Do you see how it could apply to your own life? How many of you have $400,000 in the bank right now? Anyone? Yeah, my hand should not be up. I do not, just in case you thought I did. I do not. So what I want you to think of right now is, how does this apply to you? And you had a problem like this on More, right? Where it was like, okay, how long till you retire and how much money do you want to have at retirement? So that's personalized to you. You can go, okay, I want $1 million at retirement and I'm going to retire in 25 years. That might be reasonable for your age. It's not reasonable for my age, let me tell you. Okay. Then, but now, so we're into payout annuities, you could go, oh, wait a minute. Is it really $1 million that I need? Maybe I need more than $1 million, or maybe I can do with just 500,000. If I know when do you plan on retiring? Are you going to retire at 50? Are you going to retire at 60? Are you going to retire at 65? Then you can say, okay, how long after that do I think I'm going to live? Right? Well, if you retire at 50, you better have some money because we are living to some old ages now, right? So if you are retiring at 50, you'll need to have more money because you're going to live on that for longer. That's what they're noticing with people on Social Security, right? Or retirement accounts, because they're living a lot longer than they used to. So this, you can do all of this personalized for you. Maybe that's part of your final project, right? Maybe that's what you decide to do for your final project, because you're like, okay, what's the reality? What am I going to be? Am I going to be a nurse? If I'm going to be a nurse, how much money am I going to make each year? Is it reasonable for me to put aside $2,000 a month for the next 20 years, right? To have in retirement what I need. So this is all good stuff for you, I hope. If you look past the weird, context that you see in here, like at 10%, you're not going to make 10%, right? So, but if you personalize it to you, it can be more meaningful. And I showed you all my work right here. So, and then I just showed it to you in a different way right there. So the next couple problems are similar, but they're more, specific. So instead of doing those, you can do those for practice and you can check my slides and see if you get them right. That's totally fine. What I want to talk to you about for about 2 minutes or 3 minutes before I give you your exit ticket is our plan for tomorrow. I was talking to my earlier class about this as well. All we have left is loans, right? And I usually spend 2 days on loans, so I don't really want to start it tomorrow and then continue it on Monday, because I think we'll just get confused. We'll just do them Monday and Tuesday, and then we'll have everything done for content with loans. Tomorrow, I have planned a work day for you for your final presentation. Most people want a work day. It's not called a free day. That's not what it is. It's a work day. So if you want a work day, you need to come to class with your idea. Yes, I know what I'm going to do my project on, or I'm pretty sure what I'm going to do my project on. And you're going to spend the whole class period tomorrow asking me questions or working on your project. So you make good progress on it. The other option, if you're like, I don't have any idea what I'm doing for my project. Okay, we won't have a work day. We will just do more on PF8, and I will have you do presentations of questions, new questions that I give you on PF8. So how many of you would prefer a work day tomorrow? How many of you would prefer a work day tomorrow? Okay, so what that means is you need to come ready. Yeah, if you come to class and I pop in your breakout room and you're not there or whatever, I am going to assign you something to do, okay? That will count. All I want you to do is use your time wisely. Some of you can crank out almost all of it tomorrow. Yeah. So some of you are like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do on my project. I don't understand, right? So you can decide, but pick something that's interesting to you. For example, I have a basketball player in my other class, right? That plays for MCC. Well, she really is interested in statistics, right? Basketball statistics, like their team statistics, comparing now's team to a team that was a champion in 19 whatever, right? So if that's what speaks to you, that's awesome. You'd be applying statistics and graphs and things like that. That sounds like a great idea. If you are into, some people are really into business, right? And they have their own business and they want to think about it. How can I apply the math I'm learning right here to my business? Well, that would be the finance unit. Some people are going to buy a house soon, right? Or maybe they just bought a house and they could use it as, how did I decide my financing? So I picked this bank over this bank, or I decided to go with a 15-year loan instead of a 30-year loan, right? All of those things. Maybe you're going to be a journalist and you're really fascinated by how much money they make, the discrepancy. So maybe you do a graph of how much different journalists make, right? Whether they write for magazines or if they're on TV or if they're travel or whatever. So do you see that? Oh, graphic design. So Ruki, you could do a business model for graphic design, like how much does it cost or how much should I charge a client, right? You could do that. Or you could think of how much graphic designers make and how could I apply that. I'm trying to think of what else for graphic design, because I don't think probability would give you a lot in there. Sorry, I'm reading some private chats. So yeah, you guys, I'm in if you're in, but come with your ideas so we can work through it tomorrow. Does that sound good? Some of you might not have any idea. Is there anyone out there that has no idea? Okay, so yeah, so it's a little iffy. So spend time today before tomorrow so you can have that idea so you're ready to come to class. And you can make the copy of your template, you know, and you can start cranking it out tomorrow. Does that sound good? Everybody on board for a work day? Good. I think it'll be good for everyone. Okay, I'm gonna put the exit ticket in the chat. You guys did good work today. You have assignments to do as always. Notice I have all my work on those next few slides. You have your mini lesson for PF8 due tonight. Your practice is due tomorrow night. So if you know it takes you a long time, start on it tonight, right? Don't wait till tomorrow because you'll be sad. And then you have your reading quiz isn't due till Monday, which means we have plenty of time to work on this project. Excellent. Okay, try your exit ticket. I'll be here to answer questions if you have any about your project or whatever. Good job today.